In the age of technology, humanity's growth is inevitable. You would expect that with advancements in industry, the share of cultures through the internet, and the alleged growth of the economy, that people would be happy. But people are more depressed now than ever before. The wealth disparity is growing like a runaway chemical reaction. The elderly's retirement is being siphoned away by the healthcare system. Wages are low. College is overpriced. People don't socialize like they used to, and children are born with iPads in their hands. There is no clear direction, no one to look up to, and nothing to look forward to. America has lost its identity and is having a meaning crisis. Technology may have advanced, but human nature has stayed the same since the beginning. Historically, societies have built themselves around values that exemplify the best parts of human nature and shun and punish the worst parts. People in these societies had faith that their hard work and compassion would be rewarded while the wrongdoers would be punished. This gave people a foundation and allowed them to orient their lives. If I work hard, am compassionate towards others, and pay my dues to society, I will have a prosperous life. Unfortunately, America has devolved. Decades of political corruption have caused the society's values to flip. More accurately, the past 15 years or so have made it more obvious that the ruling elite's values have never been hard work, honesty, life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness. The deep corruption of Western society is not the focus of this video, and I only mention it here to set the stage for the viewer. The American people are having a meaning crisis. Hard work is now rewarded with higher prices, and white-collar criminals are given seats in government. Government, the spine of society, can no longer be looked to for values. Religion, one of the other fundamental spheres of society, has historically been the source of morals. Just like the government, faith in the church's validity has diminished. Advancements in science have explained many things that used to be attributed to the work of demons and angels. Furthermore, not everyone is willing to have blind faith in the fantastical claims of religious texts. Religion is one of the only institutions that values blind faith, and people have seen the church abuse this faith too much to still trust it. To further some people's distrust of religion, fanatical political religions are on the rise and are trying to use religion for political leverage in a way that will make Machiavelli proud. The distrust of government and religion has shattered the foundation of society and left many people confused and disillusioned. America no longer has centralized values, and there is no longer a simple, prescribable way to live your life. With no image of what your life should look like, life's meaning becomes unclear. So what does life look like with no meaning? What is the goal for our future? If we value nothing, how do we know which direction to go? Where do we find the strength to get through difficult situations? All that is left is work, the few hobbies that we can afford, and dreams of escaping the rat race. Welcome to your new life as the main character of a Franz Kafka novel. Your new purpose in life is to generate wealth for someone else. It's difficult to stay positive when this is what you see. What a vile world to live in. I will work until I die so I can afford to buy the things that make it easier to work until I die. This is a bleak existence. So what do I do? Do I just lay here and wait to die? Is that really the only option? It can't be, right? How do I find happiness in a life with no meaning? How can I create a life worth living? This was the question that started my quest to create a meaningful life. I realized that no one was going to give me a good life. With no centralized societal values, there was no easy, prescribable method to create a good life. No American dream, and no one else who had the answer. If I wanted a life worth living, I had to create it from scratch. In order to build a life worth living, I needed to build a foundation. I needed unshakable values to build upon. I already had a set of core values that I had followed since high school, namely the Air Force core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. These values are great, but they're not values that get you out of bed in the morning. I'm not excited to go do integrity every day. I needed something to fight for, something to help me in difficult times so I could continue towards my goal. I found that something in what became one of the most useful tools in the subject of this video. I was looking for myths. It may seem strange to look to myths for values since we associate the word myth with fiction, but these stories can help us find our values. I'm speaking specifically on mythological stories with hero figures, not necessarily goblins or elves. One of humanity's greatest technological advancements is storytelling. Storytelling allowed ancient humans to communicate values and ideas in an artistic way that people could remember. This was the birth of the myth. Myths are key to creating cohesive societies because they help us form a collective identity by showing what the society values. On an individual level, myths can help us discover and assert our personalities, and they can serve a compensatory and therapeutic function. Myths can be used when the ego needs strengthening. Religion has historically been the keeper of myths. Like storytelling, religion itself is a cognitive technology that has allowed humans to align their values and create thriving societies. Religion fills a psychological and social need. We have a psychological need that drives us to find ways to soothe fear, be a part of an in-group, and know when we are on the right path. Religion does this thinking for us and communicates it through myths and rituals. The myths and rituals of religion don't just communicate values and guide us through life, they also provide one of the most important facets of myths: awe. Before the days of science, religion was used to explain natural phenomena, and it was much easier for people to experience awe through worship of an almighty God who moves the tides and makes the sun rise in the morning. But as Friedrich Nietzsche said, God is dead and we have killed him. The ability of science to explain things that religion claimed to have the answer to hurt the credibility of the church. In the modern age, we don't need religion to tell us why the tides change and why the sun rises and sets. The non-necessity of religion is good and bad. It is good and, in my opinion, necessary to seek truth over comfort, but it is also bad because of what we lose in the process. Without the myths and rituals of religion, we lose easy access to spirituality. Spirituality is the experience itself of deep connection to self and outside of self that we call awe, transcendence, meaning, and interconnectedness. I want to speak on awe and meaning since they translate well to myths. With the death of God, religion is no longer the go-to place for awe and meaning. This is great news for many people who have become disillusioned with the church. It is no longer necessary to submit to a man-made institution that requires tithes and blind faith to gain entry. We can take the best parts of religion, like myths and rituals, and leave the bad parts behind. Spirituality is no longer gate-kept by an institution. Without experiences of awe, negative thinking patterns will dominate our minds. We descend into a comfortable rut, an echo chamber of negativity bias. Experiencing awe resets these thinking patterns. Awe reminds us of the big picture. It can bring about profound positive emotions like gratitude, humility, and decreased self-centeredness. Dr. Keltner performed a study where two groups of participants went to Yosemite National Park and downtown San Francisco and created artistic doodles. The participants at the park consistently depicted themselves as smaller in scale than those in San Francisco. This implies that experiencing awe results in a reduced sense of self-importance. For those watching who are religious, fear not. If you do follow a religion and participate in its rituals, good. You are not required to go through extra loops to acquire awe, and you are no less correct or more correct than those of us who don't. What you believe, what I believe, and what the truth really is doesn't matter for our purposes. What's important is we continue to find awe in our lives. The positive results of spiritual experiences are immediately useful, and the true form of God has no impact on that. It doesn't matter if you believe in the existence of Yahweh, Cthulhu, or the flying spaghetti monster. The benefits of all are available to you. Myths can help us discover and assert our personalities. Myths that we identify with have an emotional effect on us. That emotion may be awe, excitement, determination, sorrow, or whatever. For me, I get very emotional during some songs, when I hear certain sayings, during cinematics for video games, and when I look at artwork. Let's have some fun and look at a few examples. I have a strong protector mentality, and seeing figures like the Tauren in the Battle for Azeroth cinematic for World of Warcraft gives me an emotional response. In the cinematic, he is first seen dragging a fallen comrade to safety as the Alliance pushes forward. After Sylvanas' heroic battle cry, he pushes forward, barreling through enemy barricades and serving as the front line for his army. The passion that the Tauren warrior has speaks to me. He puts his body on the line to give his army a fighting chance. Bulls and cows have always been symbolic to me. One of my earliest memories was feeding a cow an apple that my great-grandmother sliced. This great big animal was so gentle with me, and she was happy to receive a sweet treat. Bulls are symbolic to me and many others because of their role as protectors. They are gentle with their cows and calves, but quick to trample any threat to the herd. Offensive and defensive linemen also represent the protector to me. Offensive linemen use their huge stature to protect the quarterback, while defensive linemen are 300-pound rage machines that will stop at nothing to thwart an offensive drive. The linemen are the bulls of their own army. They are the protectors and the Tauren warriors serving as the front line. The linemen and the Tauren are examples of hero figures. Heroes are needed when the conscious mind needs assistance in some task that it cannot accomplish unaided or without drawing on the source of strength that lies in the unconscious mind. Another aspect of my personality can be seen in the characters Tryndamere and Pantheon from League of Legends. I am a very determined person, and these characters remind me of that when I feel weak. In the Still Here cinematic, Tryndamere is wounded and vastly outnumbered. He stands up to continue fighting and is faced by the kindred spirits Lamb and Wolf. For context, Kindred is League's version of the Grim Reaper. Everyone who sees Kindred is destined to die. One can accept death and be taken by Lamb's merciful arrow, or they can refuse death and be hunted by Wolf. Tryndamere has the ability to temporarily stave off death. He refuses to die and fights relentlessly against Wolf. He is fearless and has no intention of giving up no matter the odds. His determination to live buys him enough time for his wife to arrive and kill the two soldiers behind him. In reality, Tryndamere was fighting warriors of a rival clan, but in his eyes, he fearlessly faced and fought death itself. In the cinematic The Call, Pantheon is shown climbing up Mount Targon. He is faced by defenders which he fights off with only his shield. Soon, Leona arrives and challenges him. They fight evenly until a shooting star knocks Pantheon off the mountain. Pantheon kneels in a graveyard of weapons, remnants of warriors who tried and failed to climb the mountain. The pain on his face tells us that this is not the first time he has failed. Pantheon's insignificance to the mountain is shown in this beautiful frame. Pantheon finds himself again at the foot of the mountain, another failure like all the others, but Pantheon doesn't give up. Mentally, he undergoes a change, symbolized by him holding his spear in his right hand rather than his left like before. Stardust surrounds him as he realizes that his ability to ascend the mountain is already within him. He leaps into the air, transcends his mortal form, and becomes a star. During difficult times in our lives, we can lean on these myths for strength. Hero figures and myths undergo trials that represent hardships in real life. In The Call, we see Pantheon kneeling at the foot of the mountain, looking at the seemingly insurmountable hike to the top. We have all understood this feeling of facing a difficult task and feeling like we aren't strong enough to handle it. These myths are not just fun stories I use for entertainment. I have made a conscious effort to incorporate them into my life. A few months ago, I started lifting weights again. I really didn't like lifting weights because it can be so boring. I preferred exercises that had a purpose, like jiu-jitsu, but at the time I was taking a break, and so I settled for the gym. I remembered how excited I would get when I watched the cinematics I mentioned before, so I started watching them to get pumped up to lift. I realized that these videos were more than just inspiration for me. They represented things that I cared about and things that gave my life meaning. Suddenly, my thoughts changed from let's do these reps and get this over with to this is why I fight. I exercise to be strong enough to protect who I love. I have to be the one that pushes forward. To me, I was no longer bench pressing, but pushing open the gates to Icecrown Citadel, or lifting stones to build a fortress. My workouts became spiritual experiences where I actively meditated. I started thinking about things that mattered to me and what I wanted my life to look like. The meaning of my life could be created through these practices. If life has no inherent meaning, and I refuse to use religion's claim of ultimate truths to hide from that absurdity, then it is my responsibility to create meaning. I have to be the engineer of my own life. If I wanted a life worth living, I had to create it. To me, this was freedom. America looks more and more dystopian every day, and it is easy to feel lost and fall into depression. Without centralized values, we no longer have an easy, prescribable way of life, and that has left many of us in a meaning crisis. If you have fallen into nihilism and feel like life has no meaning, myths can help you forge the meaning of your life by showing you what you value. The myths and heroes that speak to you may be completely different from the ones that speak to me. Spend some time looking at the things that inspire you. Identify what personal values it represents, and use the emotions you feel as fuel to create your very own life worth living. Thank you for watching the video. These videos take many months to make since I do most of the artwork and all of the script writing on my own. If this video helped you in any way, leave a comment below. Until we meet again, struggle well.